Alright guys, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to check out my video. Today, I want to introduce to you College Football 25 Premier League. I know a lot of people have expressed desire to create and implement a promotion and relegation system into their College Football 25 Dynasty leagues. This could have been done in the past in NCAA 14 as well, but I wanted to provide my perspective as well as a resource in how you could easily start your own Dynasty league that involves different leagues of promotion and relegation. If you're not familiar with the system of promotion and relegation, this comes from international soccer, where there are several different leagues that are connected to one another, and the best teams from the lower leagues have opportunities to be promoted to those higher leagues to play in them, whereas the worst teams in the high leagues are punished by being relegated into the lower tier ones. We'll get to see what that looks like in just a little bit. On this first page, you'll be able to see a little narrative that I've created talking about the ins and outs of why I chose to create this promotion and relegation system. You'll also see the initial setup instructions as well as additional tips on how to get everything running smoothly. I want to go ahead and jump straight to the league setup tab. Here we can see that I've taken the Power 5 conferences and made them into 5 separate leagues. The key thing with understanding a promotion and relegation system is that these leagues are separate. A lot of times we look at all of the Power 5 teams as just one big conglomerate that are all fighting for the national championship, and I feel like if we're working in a promotion and relegation system, we need to move away from the thinking that the national championship is the be all end all of the season. In this system, just like it is in international soccer, winning your league is the most important thing you can do. So if we look at the SEC, which is my Premier League, these 12 teams are competing for the SEC title, which is the most prestigious title that you can get out of all of the leagues. I chose these teams based on historical significance over the last 10 years or so. Now, of course, there may be some bias in there, and so if you're not happy with how these teams are sorted, you're of course more than welcome to take this document, edit it, and move teams around where you see fit. But just for this case, looking at my Premier League, I have 12 teams and they will play 11 conference games. So every team will play everybody else. At the end of the season, if you choose to have a conference title game, the winner of the conference title will be the winner of the league. However, you might not need to have a conference title game. Since all teams have played one another, you can just go with the highest record in the standings. And then, of course, if there's any tiebreakers that need to be made. When we start thinking about the other leagues and how they work into promotion and relegation, I feel like it might be better to actually take a look at an example season that I've simulated. So over here, this could be what it looks like at season 1 at the beginning of the year. If we skip to the end of the season though, I went ahead and put these into a dynasty mode and simulated the whole season, and this is what it spit out at me. If we focus on the Premier League, we can see here in bold that Michigan was the team that won the SEC championship, therefore, they won the Premier League. They were the highest ranked team at the end of the season, and they would be considered your ultimate champions of the Premier League. Kansas State with the League 2. In League 3, I should have one highlighted, but it looks like I don't, so I'll have to go double check that. West Virginia and Kentucky. So we can see the league winners there. Now, if we focus up a little bit more, you'll notice that Georgia over here is underlined. Georgia won the national championship in the game. But again, we need to stop thinking about the national championship as the ultimate goal, but instead do what they do in international soccer. In soccer across the world, every year there is a tournament called the Champions League. If you're not familiar with what the Champions League is, it's all of the best teams from the best leagues are put into a pool and then they play out a giant tournament against each other. And the winner of that tournament is the winner of the Champions League. A lot of people will view the Champions League as equal to your league title. So in this instance, Michigan was the winner of the Premier League. That is of equal importance as what Georgia did by winning the tournament of 12 teams and being crowned the Champions League or National Championship winner. These trophies shouldn't be looked at as tiered one below the other, how we sometimes do in college football, where, sure, a team like Michigan might have won the SEC, but they didn't win the national title, so that doesn't count. We need to start looking at these evenly if we're working with a promotion and relegation system. Now, if we continue on how this works, you'll notice that Notre Dame, Penn State, and Texas are in red. That means in the final standings, those were the three lowest ranked teams based on conference record. they would be relegated, and next year you would manually place them in the Big Ten. They would complete their next season as members of the Big Ten, fighting for the League Two title. Whereas Kansas State, NC State, and USC have been promoted to the Premier League, will there have a shot at the greatest title out there, which would be the Premier League Championship. This system carries on and kind of piggybacks from one league to the other. So tying in demoted to League 3, promoted to League 2, and so on. Now, in order to incorporate the group of 5, I did a little bit different over here with the Pac 12. The Pac 12 has the most teams in it, which means it might be easier to avoid the bottom 3, so we extended that to the bottom 5 teams would have to be demoted. They would be relegated. And in order to find out which teams would take their place, that would go into your group of 5 conference winners. So you can see in bold, these are the teams that won each of the conferences in the group of 5. Those 5 teams would then be manually put into the Pac 12, and then Houston, Rutgers, SMU, Virginia, and Wake Forest would be dispersed between the other group of 5 conferences. So they have now been taken out of the Power 5, and they must win a title in order to get back into the Power 5. I think we can already start to see how recruiting can become really difficult for some of these teams, but magical season runs can really lead to great reward. Now, some of us might be noticing that I have 2 teams left in the independent. The reason for this is more of a technical reason than an actual logical reason as far as in universe. If it were up to me, I would take UMass and UConn and put them right here at the bottom of the Pac 12 to create a 20 team league. However, currently in College Football 25, if you remove all of the independent schools, you actually lose access to editing the Sun Belt entirely. Therefore, I would decide rather just to keep 2 independent schools here, and then they can just continue to play one another. And if that error ever gets fixed, I would take these in a version 2.0 and just put them right here into the Pac 12 to join in with the group. They're pretty much saving everything from behind the scenes, but if you don't want it to be UMass and UConn, you can put any 2 teams in their place. Now, if we take a look here at some of the other tabs, one of these tabs is the record book tab. This tab would be a way for you to keep track of who won what each season if you really wanted to go that deep into it. I've created it to go all the way down to 30 seasons because that is the maximum amount of seasons that you can play in a Dynasty league. It keeps track of who won what league, and it's just a good way to reference back and see how teams have evolved over time. Now let's go back to the beginning. If you are interested in creating a Dynasty League with a similar format to this, please, please, please feel free to use this resource. It is linked down in the description below. I created it as a college football fan for college football fans who might want a different take on the importance levels and how exactly the structure of college football works. I recognize that not everything in here is perfect, and you might have suggestions to add to this. So please feel free to leave a comment if there's something that you want to mention, or if you want to offer a suggestion, or just in general, give some feedback. I want to make sure that I'm doing this the best way I can, and I want to make a resource for the community. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully you will take this, and whether you decide to choose your own independent season or grab a bunch of friends and create one giant season where you all see if you fight for promotion and relegation in different leagues. There's a lot of different things you can do with this, and I hope that you take it and run with it. Thank you again, and have a good day.